Hey guys, welcome to another video on the Inside Spurs channel. Happy Friday morning. It's still morning, just about. Hope everyone's all right. Hope everyone is okay and having a fantastic week. Whatever it is that you've been up to this week, I hope it's been great. Hope you've been looking after yourselves. And obviously coming to the end of this month, the month ending this for PSR and FFP. So really from July 1st, you're going to see some activity. And I think that's across football for the most part. You know, I know there's some teams that done some business, but from July 1st, we're going to see some activity. So talking of said activity, we're going to be talking a little bit about Romero, Spurs' valuation on him, Atletico's reluctance to meet said valuation. We're also going to be talking about Eberechi, with both Manchester City and Arsenal both being interested in the attacker. So plenty of stuff to get into and talk about. Obviously, I know I'm normally live later into the day, but I'm live. I'm here. You know what I mean? I'm a little bit sweaty, but I'm here. Let me say some good mornings before we just jump in. Sonia, Spurs, Steve, Adiz, Jake, AJ, Marshall, Adventurer, Sean. How are we all? Let's jump in and let's start with one Cristian Romero. So this came out yesterday. Matt Law was saying that Tottenham are adamant they will not be bullied into selling Cristian Romero for a cut price fee by Atletico Madrid. The club believed to have valued him over 60 million. Now, before I bring in the next one, I think the key thing to remember for Atletico is they stunk up the Club World Cup. Now you're thinking, big what? They stunk up the Club World Cup. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, for me, I don't really, I think for a lot of fans, they're not that bothered about it. I actually watched my first game yesterday and it was just Man City absolutely destroying Juventus. That was brutal. That was actually really, really brutal to watch at times. It was like watching Man City play against like a championship side. Juve were rubbish and City were great. But it's obviously a money-making trophy tournament. And because Atletico have stunk up the gaff, I think they made about 21 million from this tournament, which is probably a lot less than they hoped and expected. You know, they probably thought we're going to get way more than that. You know, we'll go into the knockouts. We're going to, win some games. Obviously, you get money for winning games. They didn't. They were rubbish. I'm just going to leave it as that. They were rubbish. And I think because of the fact they've not made the revenue from that trophy tournament, I definitely think plays a part into their summer activity. Now, they're making signings. We know about that. Obviously, Johnny Cardoso's one of those guys. And, I think Robertson isn't going to happen, but Luca Digne is still someone they were interested in. They were interested, obviously, in Theo Hernandez. They're still doing a lot of activity and doing business. But when it comes to like that big money move, they maybe don't have the funds for it as much. They're trying to deck out the squad with, good rotational pieces. They maybe don't have the money for a Romero because obviously us wanting more than 60 million. I mean, AS have said that we're refusing to budge on our valuation as well. So just sort of doubling down on Matt Law. We want him to stay and we want him to play in the Champions League next season. We're demanding a minimum of 70 million euros. Apparently, Atletico aren't willing to go above 60 million euros and they're exploring alternative options. Fine by me. I have absolutely zero issues with us overpricing Cristian Romero. I've always said, of all of the players that we have in that squad, everyone plays a 10 out of 10. He's your best player and he's your best player by a good distance as well. I really do think Romero is world class. I've been on that as well. I think he's a phenomenal centre back. Don't just listen to me. Listen to people like, I don't know, Lionel Messi tell you that he's an unbelievable centre back. All right, listen to Liverpool players tell you that he's the best centre back in the world. I tend to kind of agree with top footballers in regards to how they feel about certain players. Oh, they're Argentinian. Shut up, you weirdo. But in essence, we go into the Champions League next season. We want quality. Because some Spurs fans just want to finish in the top 5. Well, then you want quality to help you get there. Then you bring, your best centre-back being available and being around. That's that. Look, like when people went to me, well, if we sell Romero, who would you want him to replace him? And I said, well, it's not about who I would want, it's who I realistically think we would do. And I think Mark Guay would be that guy, but Mark Guay is a step down from Romero. So for me, like I'm more than happy that Romero is going to be staying because we're going to overvalue him. Again, we're seeing centre backs in the market in the last 2 to 3 seasons, including this one, centre backs that aren't anywhere near Romero's level, going for 50 million and above, or 40 million and above. So us wanting 70 and above, it really isn't that crazy when you think about how much better he is than some of these defenders that have been going and getting sold. You know, he's in his He's in his prime. He's going to be good for another sort of 6 years, or 5 years if you want to be a little bit sort of conservative on that. So yeah, no, happy days, not a problem. You know, if Son is going, then that is your captain. By the way, next season that is your captain. And for Thomas Frank, where we want Thomas to have, ooh, that sounds really weird. If you have me in the background and you've just heard me go, ooh, that sounds really weird. I know. I've got something to bring you in a second. We want Thomas Frank to have a successful tenure at Spurs. Then you want to surround him with quality in the squad. It's something that we've struggled to do with previous managers. Well, what's the easiest way to surround with quality? Well, you've got quality in your squads. Keep them. So yeah, happy days on Romero. Sorry, I wasn't obviously expecting to talk about this, but this has just come out from Romano, saying that Everton are in advanced talks over a new deal for Jared Branthwaite, improved salary and longer deal on the table. I think that coincides quite nicely with the fact that I was just talking about centre back. That's come out just about a minute ago, by the way. So if you want to check it out for yourself, it's on Fabrizio's Twitter. Look, it's a fascinating thing to think about the centre back room because, yes, Thomas Frank has played 3 backs and 5 backs before. I don't think Spurs have the squad for that at the moment because we spent so much effort and energy on getting away from that, from the Contes and the Mourinhos and the Nunos, having Ange for 4 windows, 2 summers and 2 Januaries. We got away from that a little bit more and we streamlined it a bit better. I don't think we have that feasibility. Now, I think from time to time, Thomas Frank may go that route. Obviously, we did it ourselves under Ange, because obviously, look, we played 5 backs against Manchester United in the final, sort of for the last period of the game, and it's not shocking. I just think I've always been quite clear on what I think about what Thomas Frank's going to do. I just think we were playing a 4-3-3. That's what he also plays. Let's nail that formation because it shouldn't take too much more to adjust from a 4-3-3 under Ange to a 4-3-3 under Thomas Frank, and tweaks in here and there. And then you can start integrating the other formations and other systems that you want. Obviously, you got to remember when people go, oh, Thomas played, he played like 6, 7, 8 formations at Brentford. It's like, yeah, he was also there for a very long time. You expecting him to play that straight away at Spurs, you're an idiot. I'm never mean about people, but you're an idiot for thinking that. I'm going to be honest. So 1 to 2 systems, get them nailed, and then build. And the 4-3-3 is a really simple one that you can nail straight away. I think it shouldn't be outrageous to say, look, Spurs started the last couple of seasons pretty well. Let's go again. Let's start another season pretty well. It shouldn't be actually outrageous to ask him to do decently off the bat. Kookaburra, Eric, Lee, how are we all? So yeah, I think that on Branthwaite, I don't think he was ever going to come, to be honest. I think Everton are going to want to build around him. He's, the centerpiece of their team. Obviously, Everton are doing a lot of business to get off of players' wages like Calvert-Lewin and Doucouré and Ashley Young. They really, really start. I've actually been quite impressed with what Everton have done by, the revenue situation and the wages to revenue. They've actually taken a lot of the big earners and just got them off the books. And they've got some decent players in their squad, Everton. They do. They've got good experience. They've got England's number 1, I still think they will come back for Richie. I do. Obviously, they've been linked to Basuma as well. I wouldn't be shocked by that. Again, Prem proven players doesn't hurt ever, So yeah, there's sort of that. How is Thomas the Frank engine? He's all right. He's all right. As someone said, if Atleti was selling Kuti, they'd be looking for 100 million. Yeah. But there's always that situation, isn't it? Like we would do what Atleti are doing to us. The amount of people that get annoyed with what Atleti are doing really live in a glass house, because if we were linked to one of those players, like Romero, let's say they valued him at 80 million, we would go, well, we want to offer you 50. It's like we talked about Kudus. He's a release clause of 85 million, and West Ham want something around that money. Us go, we're going to test the waters for 50 million. We would do that. Like, that's what every team sort of does. And that's why I'm like, when it was 38 million, I was like, right, you're taking the absolute piss there. There's haggling, and then there's just trying to mug a club off. When it's closer to like, I will offer you 50 million to start, you go, okay, right. Well, it's obviously a no, but at least it's a credible offer, Whereas when we were like Kudos for 50 million and they were like, well, we want 85 million, you go, okay, that's probably not a credible offer then, is it? We've probably not offered a fair price in their eyes. I still hope we're nowhere near Kudos, by the way. If we're signing anyone for 80, I mean, remember, we sold Bale for 85 million and we're buying Kudos for 85 million in that world. That fella, 85 million he was. Best player. Thumbs up to Gareth Bale. Best player in the Premier League. One of the best players in the world. And we're signing a guy who gets you 5 goals a season in the Premier League. I just can't put into words how stupid it is. But if you listen to Twitter, because he can beat a player in a dribble, he must be the world's greatest thing. You know what Twitter's like. Yeah, well, Leon going down obviously could put an interest in teams buying for sure. Yeah. How's the new job? It's good. It's good. Yeah, it's been good. A lot of traveling. Knackered recently, but yeah, it's been solid. It's been solid. I think it picks up a little bit more, a little bit next week, but nothing too mental. And then not the week after. The week after that, it starts to get very busy. So I'm in that sort of sweet honeymoon period. You get what I mean? But let's go from there. Anyway, let's jump in and let's talk Eze. All right, because I know people are losing their absolute mind at this, and they're thinking the world's going to implode. Oh, I'm unhappy. I'm this. I'm that. I'm angry about it. The Premier League TV coverage will feature touchline interviews with substituted players for the first time next season. As part of USA-style innovations, camera operators will also be allowed to enter the field of play to capture close-up footage celebrations, and will be granted access to the changes. What the hell is that? What? Hang on. Why are we bending over for USA? They can't even get the name of the sport correct, let alone us having to do. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. If anything, watching the Club World Cup has shown you is that Americans don't truly really care about football enough. If it's on, they like it, but it's not the NFL, it's not the NBA, it's not the MLB or the NHL. Like they don't like it, it's that next tier. I think golf, they're quite big into golf. I think soccer is about 6th or 7th on their list. I just don't think. Yeah, what a crapshoot. It's like me going, oh yeah, can you get your NFL, American hand egg? Can you do these things to make it English edition? They'd go, no. It's like, why would we do it for them? You can anyone in the world of sport, what they think about FIFA, you shouldn't be doing that. I very much appreciate the way football is covered. I mean, the Spanish are trying to appease the American style of, because in the NFL, obviously, coaches halftime are coming off, quick little grab of the sideline reporter for a quick little 30-seconder. Start of the second half as they're coming out over the sideline, quick little conversation of the other coach. I get that in a way. That's what they do in the Spanish league. But for me, the Premier League is the biggest league in football. right? It's the biggest sport in the world, right? By an absolute mile. And it's the best league in the world. In my opinion, of all sports, everything, it's the best league in the world. There's nothing that comes close to the Premier League. Don't bend over backwards. Stand there and go, we're the best league in the world. You know? Yeah. Rubbish. Absolute rubbish. Yeah, I hope managers do kind of put a go, look, we'll have a conversation with you at half time, sort of thing, but you aren't in the change rooms. You aren't in the change rooms. That, for me, I really have an issue with that as a whole across all sports, because it's quite rife in the NBA after games. They speak to them. I very much go press conference, ask the players a conversation. Yeah, players sitting on the podium. You ask them not ask them a conversation. You ask them a question. They answer it. Grand. The change room should be a sanctuary for players. That's their escape from the world. That's their territory. The amount of times you hear managers go, "That's theirs. That's not ours." We go in there and chat to them, but that's their room. They play their music. They treat it the way they want it. It's theirs. It's not fans. It's not for owners and managers. It's the players' changing room. I hate that. That's an invasion of privacy. I absolutely hate that. I don't like it in American sports. I prefer, I like the press conference. It feels old fashioned, and maybe I'm old fashioned, but I like it when the players sit on a podium. After an NBA playoff game, you got Jalen Brunson and Kat, or you've got LeBron and Luka Doncic. I like that. I like that. It feels formal. It feels like a journalistic conversation, not them sitting in their underwear for you to ask some questions after a game. I feel a bit, I don't like that. I know most kids play football in the USA. Don't worry. I know they do. I watch Pat McAfee all the time. I love Pat McAfee. Every day, 5 p.m. in UK, he's going live, and I can't wait. I love it. He played, I think he was a scholarship player for football and American football. I'm not calling it soccer, it's football. Americans may not get football, but we Californians do. I'm not crucifying anyone. My issue isn't with the individual people like yourself, Tom. My issue is with broadcasters. Fans understand change rooms, sanctuary. These guys, that's their escape, that's their way. We can still speak to them. Journalists can ask a question after the game. Cool, great, off and you go. Or press conference, fine. Not in the change rooms. Cameras stay out of the change rooms. That's theirs. Just feel a bit iffy about that personally. Not comfortable. Can we ask the NFL to change the start of the Super Bowl to suit London time? Do you know what? That would be nice though. 1:30 a.m. for the Super Bowl is a brutal, brutal thing. It was all right when the Patriots were there like every year because, whether you like it or not, forever the GOAT and, the most successful organization, near enough, depending on how you view it, in all of sports, not all of sports, in the NFL. I used to get up at 1:30 pretty much every year for about 5 years straight just to watch the Patriots. And you'd be going to bed at 4:35 a.m. and I'd have to get up for work about an hour after that. I'd have a few beers and what have you. And I'm just there dead at work, pounding energy drinks just to get through the shift, Yeah, we're going to come to Eze now. Don't worry. Not fault of ordinary. No, it's not. It's not the fault of ordinary Americans when it comes to sport. It's fine. Now, if you think Patrick Mahomes is better than Tom Brady, then I've got a problem because you're absolutely categorically, factually wrong. And you always will be because he's never going to beat Brady. Couldn't beat Brady when they played against one another. So why would he beat him in the GOAT standings? You know what I mean? It's not their fault whatsoever. It's big corporations having too much money and not a care for fans. It's why Sky is so expensive. It's why, TNT is so expensive. You look at how the WWE and Netflix have treated some of their fans. It very much is a common theme. We've got the money. We're just going to bully you. That's basically all it is. They do not care. They do not care, sadly. Jazz, mate, how are you? Super Bowl is 10 a.m. It is 10 a.m. in Australia. I used to watch the Patriots at 10 a.m. in some pretty questionable dive bars so I could watch the Patriots play. And I'm there sipping on a Diet Coke, watching the Aussies just pounding schooners. And I'm like, that's intense. That's 10 a.m. That's intense. I don't hate it though. Whether I want the Prem on a Sunday, nah, you aren't getting it. No, we're not. Well, the thing is, that's Australians would go, well, if American are going to want it, we're going to want it. And it's like, that's the issue, you know? Tom Brady had two Hall of Fame careers. Hell, he had 2 Hall of Fame careers. Peace. You're welcome for the balloons. For the Patriots and the Bucks. You know? Anyway, let's move on because I get distracted. Eze. So, Arsenal have added Eberechi Eze to the list of left-wing targets. His release clause is 68 million. Rodrigo remains of interest, but Eze is seen as a cheaper option. That is by Ben Jacobs. And then Matt Law has also said that Manchester City are one of the clubs who are interested in Eze. He's been on the radar since last year. The release clause is complicated, but part of it relates to the UEFA Champions League. It may be easier for a club in the Champions League to trigger it. So, update on the release clause. It's 68 million as a whole, broken into 60 million guaranteed and 8 million on add-ons. Supposedly, the release clause, the chunk of it, so not the 8, just the 60, most of that is paid up front. Supposedly, this summer, Crystal Palace would be willing to accept a 3 installment package of 20 million per year. Okay. Now, we know Spurs from the July 1st period. That's when they're going to start to make their moves. You know, it's the amount of people that go, oh, Spurs have done no business before July 1st. And look, I get that you don't like Levy. I get it. Maybe you're a pro-Ange guy. I get it. That sort of thing. To say that Spurs have done no business, they have spent money. They've bought Danso. They've bought Tell. They have spent money before July 1st, okay? So we factor that in. Could they spend a bit more? Maybe, okay? But they've already spent money before then. Look from July 1st, right? This is where I think a lot of clubs are going to get active. I think a lot of clubs are going to start to do their business. I expected a bit of a fire sale by June 30th. By the looks of things, I would say that teams aren't that worried about financial fair play for probably the first time this year. You know, obviously it could change next summer. You know, next summer teams could get worried again. But I think teams are starting to cotton on to where sort of their budget's going to be, and they sort of spend appropriately. Okay. Next week. Well, let's just call it next week. Next week, I expect business to spark up. If we think about this time next month, so the 27th of July is where we're going to be talking about. I think multiple teams will have signed 2 or 3 players. Now, look, if we get to July 27th and we've like Tell and Dancer we know about, but they were quite easy deals. Doesn't take a genius to work those 2 deals out. One of them was an obligation to buy. I think everyone in here could do an obligation to buy. If we only have 2 players in by July 7th, I think that's a failure. I do. I absolutely do. I think you're looking at probably 3. You want 3 in by this. Well, look, they'll be working on deals anyway. And by 3, what I don't mean is a bunch of 16-year-olds that the club seems to have this weird thing about. They love a good 16, 17-year-old. Just saying, it's quite an odd thing at the moment going on at Spurs. Don't hate it. Could be doing with some senior players there, if I'm honest. That'd be nice. Is it 20 mil per window? No, it'd be 20 mil per summer. That's the kind of... you think by June 30th every year, right? Pretty much. No, not Tim. I do not want those Americans. No. It's not to say anything bad about Americans. I don't rate Timothy Ware. I don't rate Pulisic. And who the hell is Alex McSmith? Sounds like a hockey player. That's what actually that sounds like. We want Eze. We want him last season too. Look, so hang on. Let me talk about City first. City have wanted Eze, like us, for over a year, okay? It's nothing new around Eberechi Eze that City want him. Arsenal isn't brand new as such. It's newer. I think this summer was a summer where we started to hear that they were interested, but it's not brand new. Now, what I do find interesting is teams are looking at him as a left winger. I've been told by Spurs fans he can't play left wing. I find it fascinating, though, these big teams all look at him as a left winger. I think that's really interesting, if I'm honest. You got Spurs fans going, he can only play in the centre. He cannot play left wing. And Arsenal go, he can play left wing. You know that. Spurs going, he can play left wing. Do you know that? And Manchester City going, he can play left wing. Do you know that? You know, I tend to kind of think maybe the clubs know a bit more than we do as fans at times. So I've always viewed him as a left winger who can play central as well. Brilliant. Not a problem. So, you know what I mean? As long as Andy gets a left back. I want a left back so much. Hang on. I've got a drink down here to grab. Sorry. Raspberry rhubarb. I've wanted a left back for so long. Honestly. I used to have probably a lovely head of hair, great beard. And we just go, oh, do you want a left back, do you, Andy? Do you want a left back? Well, you can't have one. I can't lie. I've got faith that they're going to give me a left back this summer. But if they don't, we riot. And we will riot. I'm just going to... I'm just going to riot. I'm leaving it there because I get in trouble, but I'm going to riot, okay? Because we've needed a left back ever since we signed Desti Doggy because we only have one left back. Oh, we've got Sergio Regular and Ben Davies. No. Go and get a left back. What's going on with Ben Davies? Thinking about it. I've just thought about that. What's going on there? We want to support the manager, so we're going to give him a 32-year-old injury-prone left back who actually plays centre back now, and he's not really that anyway. Oh, I got all heated there, didn't I? It's been in the fridge. It's nice and cool. It'll cool me down. Get as a top quality striker defender. Well, they'll get. I think they'll look at an attacker, a striker. Yeah, I wouldn't say they'll be looking at like a top quality. They're not looking at a Yorkeres or an Osimhen or who's the other one? Sesko. They're not looking at them. No. Nor would I want them to be honest. You know. Some teams are busy with squads, experienced players. Tottenham buying 18-year-olds. Ezo's in Arsenal Academy. They got rid of him. I wish it was. I did have some fruit squash earlier, adventurous. So I will say that. Let the left back jokes fly. He can be left mid. If Eze can be left back, great, because then at least it will cover the fact that I want a left back. He's phasing the position out. Brilliant. We need left back, a DM, a centre forwards. We still need a lot. We've needed left back. We've needed help in the back left for years now. Walker Peters is not the guy I hope. Yeah, I think. Look, I think Carl Walker Peters and Dennis Kirkin will be. I think it's Kirkin. If I'm wrong, you know what I mean. But I think Spurs looking at one of those two guys. As much as yes, it's maybe not sexy and it's not big money moves. It's also somewhat smart. We could do with another academy trained player because actually, wouldn't it be nice to have a squad that you had an ability to rotate a little bit with Europe? Whereas if you've just got 21 or 22 players, it makes it, especially with our injury record, you got 21 players playing Europe. Here's your injury record. You're thinking, Jesus Christ, at times we can barely fit out 11 players. I swear to God, if that medical team doesn't work this year, we riot again. There's no way on earth we can go this many years with that crap a medical team. And if any one of them ever sees it and gets angry with what I'm saying, I don't care. Proof is in the pudding. Proof is in the pudding. Dave again. I don't know where David's going. I thought he was going to AC Milan, but that's gone quiet. We have a manager whose ex-players won't follow him, says it all. Well, and Mbuemo always wanted Manchester United regardless of Thomas Frank and Norgard. Please don't tell me anyone's truly upset that we aren't going for Norgard. There's better players outside. I mean, there's better players outside of Norgard in that squad, even without Mbuemo. He's not one of the top two. I'd sit there and say, Johan Visser's still there. And probably Nathan Collins is the other guy. Hell, Damsgaard is still there. Like, Norgard is a 31-year-old. Like, he's older than me. That's a problem. If you're older than me in football, it's a problem. You know, you might as well just pay for me. I'm cheaper. You know, pay for my travel. Get me a hotel in the hotel complex going to get built. Make sure there's a nice chocolate on the pillow. I want a chocolate on the pillow. No, in my luck, it'll be it'll be one of those little 12 bites from those multi bags. You know, it'll be bloody typical, wouldn't it? Levy will not buy a left back. Will not buy a left out back. He believes it's a wasted position if you don't use it. Oh, I'm Coy's Daniel. Listen, Coy's Daniel. Some people think that you pay me, okay? Which I don't know why they think that, because if you think that, then brilliant. Coy's Daniel. Hashtag we got our Tottenham back. All that stuff that you love. All the regurgitated politician talk. Get me a lolly left back. Do not fail this year. Big D's been a member for 4 months. If Arsenal get Eze ahead of Spurs, I give up. Well, cheers regardless. I actually have a drink this time, so I can cheers people that do things like this. Cheers for being a member for 4 months. He's also gifted memberships before as well. Absolute legend of the community. Absolute legend of the community. So I thought of someone else. Cheers. But yeah, if Eze goes to Arsenal, I mean, Rodrigo's all right. The thing is, Rodrigo's not worth 90 million. So I kind of hope they do it because it's not worth it. And by the way, the way that Aït-Nouri and Doku played yesterday was frightening. Absolutely frightening, those two on the left-hand side. That team has needed a left back for years. They did it us. Don't know what it was about Spurs that want to be Manchester City without spending the way Man City does. We just both went, why get a left back? Where's the fun in that? We'll just play everyone but a left back at left back. They went and signed a good left back. And look what's happened. I think City, if you think City are going to be how they were this year, this season, you're in for a rude awakening. I think, with Rodri coming back as well, don't forget, like, the best number 6 in the world is back. Marmoush is going to be better. Jesus Christ. I think the Premier League could be in trouble massively next year. We need a good medical staff for me. We do. My hamstrings are in pain this week from my own leg workouts. I need a good medical team as well. Pep is phasing out too. Oh, fair enough. Yeah, I wish we can get Eze and the experienced centre back. I don't think we'll be getting a centre back. You got Mickey, you got Romero, you've got Big Kev Danso. Radu's back in a few months' time. You've got Vuskovic, Phillips, Dorrington. You'd expect one of those three to be good enough to kick about. So, yeah. That left back for City yesterday was unreal. I knew he was good at Wolves, but my lord, yeah. I actually watched my first Club World Cup Championship game yesterday because the tournament's a joke. It's crap. But I watched it because I thought, Juve Man City, that feels like a game that could be good. And it was 1-1 after 15 minutes. And I was like, yeah, I've picked the one good game, haven't I? Like, proper good game. And Aït-Nouri, Jesus, wept. Him and Doku, I kid you not, watch some of the highlights from those two yesterday. It was like, they were the two best players for Man City yesterday. It was ridiculous. And then, Reinders is there now, and Marmoush is going to have a summer and build into this season. I think, Gonzalez will improve this season. That's a team. That is a team this year. I think they're going to be scary next season. Haaland shouldn't get his injury. He probably won't miss as much time this season through injuries as well. Rodri's back. I think you're looking at the title winners next season. I really do. If Levy doesn't make front heads have to wave, we want to compete on all fronts. Well, look, the proof's in the pudding. It's like the best example. Vinay probably put Daniel on the spot, and Daniel kept talking and dropped those nuggets. It's all about dropping nuggets, how you do sales and everything like that, right? Someone drops a nugget, you can feed off of it and use it against them, right? Well, Daniel goes, we want to win the Champions League, won the Premier League. Well, to do that, you've got to have intention, right? And you've got to have the right people to spend the money in the right way, okay? Because Liverpool have won a Premier League whilst Man City could spend way more than them, okay? We know that, right? Now it's only one. It was only one. Man City and Man City, and Man City in the last sort of couple of years maybe haven't spent the way they normally do, whereas they have kind of done that this summer, and it wouldn't surprise me if they do more after July 1st. Don't care. You would say they're going to be very good this year. The comparison I have is think about how you are an office job. Your manager wants to call you or he wants to speak to you in person, right? Because he's going to give you information or he's going to say something that could get him in trouble. He doesn't do it via a message or an email because there's a paper trail. There's evidence. They always do it in person or over the phone because there is no recording. There is no evidence. It'll be your word versus theirs. It's how I always notice with like managers that I never got on with. I always noticed they'd always say something in person to irk me. Never did it on an email. They were my best friend on emails. And then I finally got it on emails that they all mucked up and I obviously then had more power there. That's what managers do, right? Daniel Levy, think of him as a manager, right? And we're employees. Well, now he said something. We absolutely can use it against him. Maybe not all this season, I don't think Spurs are winning the league or the Champions League this season. So, but we're going to be sitting there going, well, we're not going to wait 30 years to win it, though. Like if you're saying that in 2025, I'm not waiting till 2055 for us to win one of them. You want to win it, then the world is your oyster. Go out and prove it. Maybe we can now afford a Roberto Carlos at left back. I don't even think that. Don't think there's been an outcome on the court case. No. I agree, Sean. We spent luck with Burnley. More than less than how are we? No, not the day off. Just less work for me to do today. I do need to set up on a computer, so I need to do that in a bit and set up a computer. That'll be fun. Top 5. Yeah, Nuno Mendes is the best left back in the world. Yeah, that's fine. That's true. Right. Thank you so much for joining me this morning into the afternoon. I very much appreciate your company and chatter. Please go and enjoy the rest of your days. Go enjoy the rest of your mornings, your afternoons, your evenings. The Australians in the community, go and enjoy the start of your weekend. You're absolutely bloody legends. All right. Look after yourselves. Please stay safe. We might be live tomorrow morning. I'm not too sure. I'll be obviously seeing my gran. So we shall see how my time goes tomorrow. But look after yourselves, and I'll speak to you all very soon to talk a lot more about Tottenham Hotspur. Take care, everyone. Peace.